All right. Welcome, everyone. I'm Beth from the CanFit Pro Certification Department, and I'm delighted to have you here for Brain Fitness, Mental Health, and Wellness Strategies featuring Jill Hewlett. So just a few items of housekeeping. This webinar is being recorded. You'll be sent an email early next week with the replay link, and it will also be on the CanFit Pro YouTube channel with all our other recent webinars. There is also a CEC quiz available for purchase for today's session. You simply have to go to canfitpro.com next week and look under the continuing education tab to find out more information about that. Closed captioning has been enabled for this session. And if you don't like closed captioning, you don't want to see subtitles, you can turn this off for yourself. Just look on your toolbar and you'll see the closed captioning icon, and you can go ahead and hide those subtitles. Now, I am delighted to welcome you to Brain Fitness, Mental Health, and Wellness Strategies, and it is my pleasure to introduce today's presenter, Jill Hewlett. Jill is a nationally recognized speaker, author, brain fitness expert, and wellness authority, combining user-friendly neuroscience and inspired common sense strategies. Jill draws out the natural leadership, resources, and resilience in individuals and organizations to support them in achieving greater levels of productivity, wellness, and success. You will be empowered and equipped with the information, motivation, and tools to proactively build your fit brain and your fit life. On a personal note, Jill has a long-standing appreciation for CanFit Pro members and our community. 2.5 decades ago, Jill attended one of CanFit Pro's first fitness conferences in Toronto, and it was there that she began her own certification journey as a fitness instructor specialist. Jill will be presenting at this year's CanFit Pro 2021 online global conference and trade show in August, our largest event of the year. Jill's passion for health and physical fitness is the foundation of her brain fitness programs. Let's pass it over to Jill, who will teach us how our mental health awareness muscles can be activated so we can influence our response to the challenges we face today. Welcome, Jill.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Beth. I'm so excited to be spending this time with all of you. We are going to literally grow our brain power together. Okay, we're going to invest into mental health and wellness strategies that you can use immediately. So to get started, I wanted to share one of the most fundamental principles of brain fitness. And as fitness professionals, I know you're really going to appreciate this. Okay, here it goes. You can use the body that you currently have to sculpt the brain that you want. Isn't that cool? And we're going to learn how we can do that in today's session. So I'm curious, how is your brain doing? Is it turned on? Is it firing on all cylinders? Is it ready to participate and learn in today's session? Well, feel free to share your comments in the chat box. And to make sure that all of us have our brain fully turned on, we're going to do that together right now. So there are 3 kind of quick and easy ways I'd like to start with. And when I discuss these, I'm also going to incorporate some neuroscience information so we can really be right on the path to building new neural networks by becoming more informed, developing our awareness, and then literally gaining strategies that we can use anywhere, anytime. So to start with, we had mentioned that it would be a great idea to get some water. So if you want to pull out your glass or your water bottle, let's have a toast to your brain fitness. Cheers, everyone. It's so important to be hydro-powered. See, your brain is an electrical unit. And so it needs to be occurring in a milieu of proper hydration all day long so it can do its job, it can focus and be energized. And because of it being an electrical unit, hydropower is one of the key words that you need to think of when you take constant sips throughout the course of your day. The next one is breathing, okay? Something we do all the time, but we're not necessarily breathing strategically. So I call this breathing 2.0. So I'd like you to join me, please, and breathe. Take a big breath and breathe in through your nose, and then exhale and breathe out through your mouth. Inhale through your nose, And exhale through your mouth. Fantastic. Inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Now keep doing that and I'll just let you know what's happening. As you're breathing in through your nose, you're sending an energy and oxygen supply right to those neurons, right into your brain. So it has this wonderful energizing effect. When you exhale through your mouth, you are cleansing and detoxifying. You're actually releasing acidity and you're activating your relaxation response. So as you inhale through your nose, think about energizing your system. And as you exhale through your mouth, think of cleansing and relaxing. Okay, great. The third activity we're going to do is movement. And this is something you're all very familiar with. And this movement, though, we're going to do together right in front of our screens, because the reality is with all these stay-at-home orders, many of us are spending far more time in front of TVs, computers, and on our electronic devices than we normally would. And this is really taking its toll on our brain and our eyesight. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to have you turn your head from one side to the other. You're going to coordinate that with your breathing. And as you do it, I'm going to add in another element. So let's start with this and then we'll build. Nice big breath in through your nose, turning your head. And then exhale and bring your head across the screen and to the other side and inhale again. And exhale as you move across. Great. So continue with the inhale and exhale and head movement. And to do a little bit of multitasking, although this is multitasking you were designed to do, I'm going to have you blink your eyes simultaneously. That's right. So you're going to turn your head, you're going to breathe in and out, and you are going to blink your eyes. Now, when we're sitting in front of our screens for long periods of time, we start to stare and we don't realize it. And our eyes go into something that's called an ocular lock. And because our eyes are so connected to our brain, this is actually affecting our brain in a detrimental way too. Plus, our eyes get itchy and there's a lot of strain on them. So let's do another movement activity. Same thing, this time head up and down. And as you do that, coordinating your breathing and your movement, blink your eyes, please. Fantastic. Great. Okay. And last but not least, let's do the diagonals, just so that we can move our head in all directions, because we're staring forward in front of screens far too much these days. Ah, great. All right, both diagonals. And there you go. Okay, and feel free to have a bit more water if you feel like it. So just notice after doing those small, quick activities, how different you feel. Even a little change can take you on a whole new trajectory. And it's so important now more than ever, that we have activities that we can do constantly and frequently throughout the course of our day to invest into our brain health and our optimization, and also to mitigate and contend with all the stress and pressure of this very unique time we're in. So on that note, there are three main issues that people and organizations are reporting. And I'd like you to think to yourself if you can relate to any of these. And maybe if you can't relate, maybe you have family members who can, or clients. I'm sure someone you know is dealing with these issues, because these are the issues that are topping the chart right now. So the first one is fatigue. So I'm curious, are you feeling more tired than usual? Are you feeling outright exhausted? There's a continuum there, but people generally are saying they're more tired than usual. And so the question is, well, why is this? Like, why is this happening? Especially we're being home all the time. We're not expending as much energy. We're not as busy as we used to be. Well, the reason is this: your brain is an energy hog, and it requires a lot of energy to think and to manage your daily life tasks. Now, although we might not be as busy out in the world these days, we are dealing with trying to figure out and understand all this change and uncertainty, and adapt temporarily to these very different conditions. And so what's happening is it's taking more energy than your brain is used to. And it's really causing fatigue and overwhelm. The next issue is fear and or anxiety, and see if you can relate to that. Main issue is most people more than ever, are spending time in flight, fight, and or freeze mode more than they realize and more than they should be. So this is a typical human response, fear and anxiety to a certain degree, because your brain's number one job is to keep you safe. Your survival is its top priority. So it's always on the lookout for issues or things to be aware of or potential dangers. But the thing is, another important part of our life is being able to make choices and decisions. We'll call these predictions. And your brain relies on being able to use your prior life experience and then line it up with your current reality so it can feel confident and certain in making the choices and the plans and the decisions it's making. But the reality is, our lives look very different today than they did over a year ago. And so there's a gap. There's a lack of alignment there. And that puts us into not only a place of uncertainty, it puts us into a reactive state and a highly concerned state. The next issue we have, number 3, is a down mood. And that can be feeling not just quite myself, all the way over to feeling actually downright depressed. And the reason here is that your happy brain neurochemicals have been hijacked. So you see, your brain is a highly social organ. It requires frequent social stimulation and interaction to feel happy and healthy. But our regular outlets to stimulate our oxytocin, our dopamine, our serotonin, those happy brain neurochemicals, they're not available. You know, they've been put on hold or even canceled. So the restaurants, the bars, the concerts, the clubs, the hobbies, the venues, the fitness centers and the gyms, all these places that we would go to have that interaction and stimulate those neurochemicals are just not available to us. So it's a lot. This is a lot to deal with. I mean, now that we understand what's happening, we can appreciate why it's happening. And if you, once again, if you can relate, you are not alone. You are in good company. But we need to be real about these things because, you know, fatigue, down or depressed mood, or fear and anxiety, they existed prior to COVID. But they are existing at an all-time high now because the types of issues that are triggering them are issues we've never had to deal with before. So understanding this is helpful. That's where the saying knowledge is power comes in very handy. So on that note, I want to shift gears for a moment. We're not going to stew in these issues because today's session is about understanding what's going on so we can do something about it. So that's where I'm going to come in with some very good news, okay? And this very good news is based on neuroscience insights that are very inspiring and useful. So you're going to find that throughout the session, I like to work with the number 3. So I have 3 pieces of really good news for you. The first one is best technology. Hands down, your brain is the most powerful, clever, and sophisticated technology on the planet. Okay, it's not the latest and greatest appliance, phone upgrade, or new car. The best technology is inside of you. How amazing is that? You're composed of this incredible cellular power, 50 to 100 trillion cells. And a large number of those, the most highly advanced cells on the planet, called neurons, 86 billion of them, have come together to create something really special and important, the CEO of your life, your brain. Okay, how cool is that? Okay, that's good news number 1. The next piece of great news is neuroplasticity, a key word that's only been around for several decades. And this is groundbreaking science. And the fact that this word was created to describe our changeable, malleable, sculptable brain is just extraordinary. And this is what leads us to a piece of information that you've probably never been told before. Fasten your seatbelt and get ready for this, okay? You are a neuroplastician. Yes, that's right. You're not a neurosurgeon, so please do not leave the session thinking that, but you are a neuroplastician. You are constantly, in every moment of every day, you are affecting your brain. You're affecting your brain's plasticity. And so you're growing or expanding your brain for better or for worse. Okay, so how does this work? Well, neuroplasticity and gets affected by basically everything we do, moment to moment, hour to hour, day to day, through the thoughts we think, the words we speak, the interactions we have, the air we breathe, the food we eat, the sleep we get, and our movement patterns. All of this, or lack thereof, all of this affects our brain once again, for better or for worse, intentionally or unintentionally. And so this is really important information to be aware of and to leverage. Good news number 3, electrical flow. So like I said earlier in our session, your brain is an electrical unit, and it actually has enough power to light up a low watt light bulb. How cool is that? And so just like an electrician would work with the energy and information flow inside of a building, it's your responsibility to work with the energy and information flow inside of your system. And when you have the right awareness, tools, and strategies, you can do this really effectively. In fact, you can create new neurons and new neural connections and pathways and networks. And then with practice and use and repetition, those pathways can become faster, stronger, and more efficient and effective. And in the process of that happening, that translates into you becoming healthier, happier, more resourceful, more resilient, more efficient, all these good things. And this is what brain fitness is about. It's really about investing into and leveraging your neuroplasticity so that you can create your fit brain and your fit life. So I'm so happy you've joined me in today's session. This is just great because really this type of information is needed now more than ever. We're really, we're going through a lot of challenges in this very, once again, unique and unprecedented time. And to be in this for over a year now, it's really challenging, and we need strategies. We think, what can we do to contend with this? What can we do to reduce this stress and move back into a more optimal place? And so the answer again is brain fitness to the rescue. And because we definitely can't control what's going on around us anyway, but we certainly can control what's going on inside of us. So another set of 3s here. We are going to talk about in today's solutions, 3 main categories: awareness, mindset, and movement. Those are the 3 areas we're going to address. So we're going to start with awareness. Maybe you've heard this saying before: awareness precedes change. And the idea here is that awareness, when you become aware of something, you can then do something about it, which is true, right? And let's take that up a notch. Actually, awareness doesn't just precede change, awareness creates change. So already in this 20 minutes of spending this time together, you have probably learned some new concepts and ideas. That means you're already growing growing a bigger brain, new connections and pathways, because to be able to sustain new information, you need to make links inside your brain. So this is really exciting, right? Because just by becoming aware, we can make a positive shift and invest into our brain health and actually even optimize our brain. But the question is here, why are so many people then avoiding being aware? Why are so many of these topics that are so important to address kind of pushed to the side? They're almost taboo. Well, I think in today's day and age, especially now, they are starting to surface, because just putting our head under the sand like an ostrich would is not going to be the solution. We need to be real about these things in a way that can work for us. Otherwise, we're going to be in a state of denial. So what does denial stand for? Don't even notice I am lying. Do you like that? Right? Don't even notice I am lying. And that's because denial can become a habit to the point where we don't even realize that we are in denial. Okay. And so we're kind of going around with only half or less than half of the story of what's really occurring. So And it's, you know what, actually, I have to say, as fitness professionals too, you are relied on to be people who are upbeat and inspiring others and keeping others motivated. So you've probably learned in many ways to even sidestep your own feelings and needs so that you can serve others. And, you know, there's something really commendable about that. And at the same time, while we can't sit and stew in these more uncomfortable or difficult feelings, it is important to be aware of them. Let them have some space. Let them have a voice. Let them be present, okay? Whether that we're feeling more tired than usual, we're getting headaches, we're feeling sad, we're just confused or overwhelmed. These are common human experiences and feelings. And like I mentioned earlier in our session, there's reason for them. There's good reason. So what we can do here is by becoming, honest about our feelings and giving them a bit of space, a very magical thing will happen. Okay. This comes from research in mindfulness training. And so when we start to become aware of what's going on without trying to fix it or change it, we automatically start to change it because awareness creates change. And so when you're in this like tight, wound up, incoherent space, by just breathing and being honest about those feelings, maybe even giving them a name, locating where they are in your body. I'm getting a headache. It feels tight around my temples, or my jaw's clenched, or my shoulders are hurting me, or my lower back is causing me discomfort, or, I'm feeling tight stomach, or my digestion's off, anything, things like this. I'm giving you examples. You can start to name it and locate it. You have done a lot already to start to shift it. Okay. You're unwinding, literally unwinding that tension. And over time, that will lead you to a far more coherent state. And in the field of educational kinesiology, which is a field I've had a license in for 20 years now, I'm very passionate about it. They refer to this actually as moving across the noticing bridge. Let me explain that to you. So the idea is that when we are in a reactive state, when we're in fear, we move into survival brain, right? That flight, fight, or freeze state. And our options are very limited there. We get kind of stuck there. But when we use our awareness skills, we do something called noticing what's going on, we actually can start to make a shift up into the midbrain, where that is where our emotional cognitive brain is. And so we start to become aware of how we're feeling, right? That's a higher part of the brain. When you're in survival, you don't have time to feel. So the very fact that you've moved up to this next part of the brain and you're taking time to feel is a very good step. And that part of the brain is the precursor to moving up to the higher frontal lobes, this neocortex area, this higher brain thinking. And that is where you can come up with new choices and new strategies, because this area is where you have your executive functions located. Your ability to plan, strategize, be creative and innovative, problem solve, move in a new direction towards your goals. So this is really exciting. And this is actually what gives you the human advantage and puts you at the top of the food chain, that you have a large number of neurons, brain cells in this area, and they're there for a reason. So you can take care of yourself well and make good choices and be healthy and, once again, problem solve and be creative, all these really important skills. So we can't be in brainstem and frontal lobe at the same time. So we need strategies, of course, to help us get there. And so a next piece in a way that we can make a shift is by addressing our mindset. So our mindset kind of controls or runs the show in many ways. And I'd like to discuss how and why here. First and foremost, your thoughts are not just fleeting, obscure, irrelevant things, okay? Your thoughts are actually electrochemical events that produce a cascade of physiological changes. Have you ever been told that before? Like the thoughts you think are events, right? It's interesting to look at it that way, but it's true. Our thoughts have an immediate impact. This is scientifically proven. So positive thoughts will have a positive impact. Negative thoughts will have a negative impact. Now, on that note, wouldn't it be great if we could just be positive and think cheerful, happy thoughts all the time? Well, As nice as that would be, it's not actually humanly possible. And the reason is, as humans, we are predisposed to something called CANTS. Have you heard of this acronym before? It stands for Continual Automatic Negative Thoughts. And these continual automatic negative thoughts come to us naturally because, once again, your brain is here to keep you safe, keep invested in your survival. And so, and actually research even shows that people would rather, check this out, proactively worry about something that never comes into fruition than to not worry and be caught off guard and something to happen that you weren't expecting. So not only are we predisposed to worrying, we will proactively worry. Okay. And then there are things like life experiences that trigger us to go into that negative thinking loop. For example, when things don't go as we planned, that can really trip us up or send us into a tailspin. So we might have a plan that takes us from A to B directly, but the reality is that there's many other steps involved, and that might take us in many other directions. And we might have to spiral for a bit first before we can move forward. We might even have to step back before we move forward or wait. So that can be really uncomfortable. But when things don't go as planned, that activates our survival response. Basically, we're like, whoa, our plan's not working. What's happening here? And so the gift of awareness is that we can become aware that things don't often go as we planned, but they can oftentimes go better than we planned too. They don't always have to go worse. They can go similar to how we planned, and they can even go better than we planned. So on that note, I'd like to address some ways that we can do that, how we can help that. And number one is a saying called flip the script. And I like this one because you can play with this anywhere, anytime, because you've got thoughts constantly happening. And so there's ways to do this. I actually wrote one of my blogs is called 5 Effective Mindset Strategies on my website. If you go there, you'll get more detail on these. But just from a high level perspective for today's session, one thing for sure is to look at the learning opportunity, because when we're not going as planned, because our plan usually has all of our skills and resources ready, but when we take an indirect route, we tend to have to be more flexible and learn new skills or new ways of being. So there's a huge learning opportunity. And in that, there's tends to be gifts, the whole idea of the silver lining. So that's amazing. Another opportunity is to take an issue we're dealing with and practice looking at it from different angles, or even ask or imagine you are getting input from, someone you really highly esteem, or an elder, or like a good friend or counselor. What would they say about this? Because we're so often trapped, literally trapped in our own brain and mindset that we forget that there's other ways to look at things. And since you are the author of your life and you get to design it, you get to flip the script. So on another note, something really simple but it's really powerful is the pause, because we often get caught up in this thing I like to call life inertia, when we're just moving forward with our plan and we just don't want anything to get in the way. And the issue there actually too is that our mind gets caught up in that inertia, right? And so the moment it isn't lining up with what we planned, it goes into that stress place. When you notice that happening, one of the most effective things you can do is just to pause. Just stop if you can. And to give yourself something to focus on, pay attention to your breathing. Even do the breathing 2.0 that we talked about at the beginning of the session. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Bring the cooling air conditioning into your brain, and then exhale, detoxify, and activate some relaxation. You just need to create a bit of a shift to disrupt that inertia that you are in. And then from this place, a really other cool thing you can do, which is highly effective, and neuroscience proves it, is that you can visualize to materialize. And what that means is you can leverage your mindset to create and lay down new neural pathways, because research shows that when you visualize something, you are actually activating the same neurons and neural networks as actual real task performance. So by laying down this, you're creating the blueprint and you're becoming more familiar with the reality you want to create. It's like you're moving into it. And that is a really exciting opportunity because, again, that doesn't cost anything and you can do that anywhere, anytime. Very neat, right? So on that note, we're going to go to the third component, and I've left the most amount of time for this one because it's, first of all, it's my favorite, and I think it might be your favorite as well. So it's movement. Okay, and I'm just going to share something personal here for a moment. So in the introduction, Beth so kindly shared about my experience of being 2.5 decades ago at one of the first CanFit Pro conferences. Yes, that is dating me a little bit. But I will say that the reason why I was there and got into this is because, first and foremost, I grew up with my parents owning a sporting goods store. And so just being active in sports are just naturally near and dear to my heart. And my dad got involved coaching us in different sports, especially baseball, which is the family favorite sport. And so I spent many years playing rep ball and all sorts of other sports. And I eventually became the girls' athletic rep at high school. So then when I moved off to university, I found, it was quite an adjustment, and talk about being in a completely new environment, and the workload was that much more, and, new social circumstances, and just being away from home. And so it was at that time when I found that my outlet was to go to the gym, the campus gym, and get involved with the fitness and wellness programs there. And this was not optional. I wasn't doing this because, hey, I just wanted to stay healthy or look fit. It was my saving grace. It was the thing that not only supported me physically, but more so emotionally and mentally. And so you probably find this yourself too, and your clients and will say the same thing, like how much better they feel after having had some movement, after exercising, after sweating, right? And so it was at that time when I was at university that they offered an opportunity to become a fitness instructor and a personal trainer. And so that segued into becoming familiar with CanFit Pro and coming to one of the first conferences. So it's so exciting for me, full circle, to now be involved with CanFit Pro as a presenter. It's truly an honor for me. And I really feel like I'm with like minds and in great company when I'm sharing and teaching brain fitness, because I know that you people get what I'm saying. So on that note, we are going to do together something called neurobics, exercises for your brain. And we're going to start with this concept so that you really understand the power of this. It's the fundamental neuroscience principle that goes like this: how you fire it is how you wire it. Okay, so the idea is that how you interact and connect with the environment and people around you is how you're wiring your brain. So if you're sedentary and you're not getting much movement, what does that mean? You're not doing much firing, so you're not doing much wiring. And so interesting, right? Because more than ever, maybe not you yourself, maybe you're keeping fitness and movement as a top priority, but there are many people reporting that they are more sedentary than ever, and their brain is becoming sluggish, they're gaining weight, they're feeling down, they're lacking motivation. And the big reason is they just generally are not getting enough. Their system, their body and brain are not getting enough movement. And of course, the connection with this is that we're now living our social lives primarily through our devices, through our electronics. And that in and of itself is causing us to be more sedentary. But the other problem with this is that screens are two-dimensional. They're flat, right? And your brain is three-dimensional. Okay. And it really truly needs to be stimulated in a three-dimensional way. So to drive that home, I have actually a meme for that. Feel free to take a picture, because this is something to remember. And this also really gives props to your own interests and work in the fitness industry. So we are going to do some brain activation strategies together. And just to show there's lots of research, I just picked out this one here to share with you, because Stanford University did some studies on this, and what they've called activities, like I'm going to share with you, they called them microbursts. And these activities are intended to boost energy and creativity, sharpen your focus and concentration, and improve your mood and motivation. And in fact, the research shows that it does that. Okay, so together we are going to do some brain fitness activities. And some of them are actually taken from the Brain Gym program, because I'm a Brain Gym practitioner of many years now. It's a field of work I just love. And so some of these activities are actual Brain Gym activities, or others are inspired from that training that I've had. So to get started, since you're a neuroplastician, a good idea would be to do some research, get a baseline so we can compare the before and after, so we can see what changes occur. So the first one, the first thing I'm going to have you do, so put the focus on you. You're just going to gather some information, just get a kind of a baseline without being judgmental. You're simply going to be curious. The first one is to notice your breathing. How does it feel as you breathe in and out, inhale and exhale? How does that feel? And how are you breathing? You can close your eyes or just glance downwards so you really put the focus on yourself. The next activity is, or the next thing to notice rather, is your posture. How are you seated? Remember, there's no right or wrong. You're just getting a baseline here. Notice as you do a stand from head to toe, are you seated more to one side or the other? Are your shoulders hunched or open? Are your legs crossed? And you can actually pay attention too to see if there's any areas in your body that might feel tight or that are talking to you. This is just information gathering, getting a baseline so we can compare the results after we do a bunch of neurobics together. And then the last thing to become aware of is your energy levels. So where is your tank? 0 is empty, 5 is halfway, and 10 is fueled up, raring to go. Where's your number between 0, 5, and 10? And then just take note of that number, jot it down if you want, just bookmark it, and we will come back and compare after. Okay, so to get started with the neurobics, we're going to repeat and build on some of what we've already done because repetition is so key for your brain. First one is energy. What would your life be like if you had more energy? Would you have more fun? Would you get more done? Would you be more productive? Would you enjoy things more? Well, a great way to have more energy is to be properly hydrated. So my tip for everyone is to take constant sips throughout the course of your day, but make sure your water is handy and visible. That way you won't forget. So cheers, everyone. Let's have a big sip. So good. And another tip actually is to keep it right beside your bedside. So before you go to bed at night, fill up a cup of water and then take it with you to your bedroom and have it right there ready for you. Because if it's there, it is handy, you won't forget and you won't procrastinate, because so often we get busy into other things in our day and we don't have time to go and fill up our water, or we forget to do it. So no excuse, have it there and have it ready. The next activity is for presence. How would your life be like if you were more present to your roles, your responsibilities, the people in your lives, or even to yourself? How would things be different? Well, we have an activity for that so you can be more present. It's the breathing 2.0, and we're going to build on this for a moment. Remember, I had you breathe in through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Well, let's do that together again. Inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. And as you do it this time, let's really lift the shoulders up on the inhale and bring them down and back on the exhale. Up on the inhale and then down and back on your exhale. Fantastic. And keep doing this. And this eventually will become a bit of a shoulder roll. And what is nice about taking it up and back is because so often we are actually very hunched. Our posture is going forward and we need to actually move those shoulders and re-educate to a more aligned and upright stance. So, up and back, and that will also create more space for more breath in your chest area. Okay, great. And then as you do that, to become more mindful of your breath, really become aware of the difference in temperature. When you inhale through your nose, it's a cooler air. And when you exhale through your mouth, it's a warmer air. Okay, that's the fresh supply coming in, creating some air conditioning for your brain, because when we're stressed, we literally become hot-headed. And then exhale through your mouth and cleansing and detoxifying. And that's the acidity releasing as well. And that's the warmth that's represented in the warmth that's coming out. Very good. Okay, so keep doing that. The next activity that we're going to do is for focus. So just think about it for a moment. What would your life be like if you could be more focused? Would you start projects more readily? Would you stick with them more easily? Would you procrastinate less? Well, the thing is, when change and uncertainty comes our way, one of the first things to go is our ability to focus. Okay, because we lost connection with the structure that our left brain operates in. And so we're kind of grappling, we're kind of searching, we feel like we're in chaos and you don't know what to focus on. Okay, so that focus, if you're feeling not too focused, that is a typical response to today's issues. But we can do something about that. And there's a quick focusing activity that's done in a small part of your body, your ears, where there are over 400 pressure points. And the trick with this activity that we'll do together in just a moment is that it will energize you, because to focus, it requires energy. At the same time, it will relax you, which, when you can't be focused if you're tense, the more relaxed you are, the easier it is to focus. So this will do both of those simultaneously. It will activate a really nice parasympathetic response because you're giving yourself nice supportive touch. It feels great. Most people say they really enjoy this. Of course, any activity I share with you, if it's not up your alley or if it isn't something that feels comfortable for you, please modify and listen to your body at all times. So to do this together, we bring our thumbs to the front of our ears, the other fingers to the back. You're going to start at the top and you're going to just roll out your ears bit by bit. You're massaging and rolling them out. Okay, I'll turn my head so you can see me a little bit better there. Okay, if you're wearing earrings like I am, just go around them and then start at the top and go again. And while you're doing this, really focus on your breathing. In fact, there's a good chance that as you do this, you might even feel like yawning. And please go for it, because you're at the same time as giving this wonderful ear massage and you're stimulating all these 400 pressure points that are located to systems and meridians and organs throughout your body. You're also, once again, giving yourself that supportive touch, which is very relaxing. So if you feel like yawning, go for it. That's only going to bring more oxygen to your brain, which is a great thing. And it will relax you more as well. So we do that about 2, 3, 4 times, whatever feels right for you. You're going to notice your ears feel warmer, more circulation. Maybe they're a little redder, better to hear me with. and there you go. Already you've got this all over body massage happening because these points here are connected throughout your whole system. Not to mention, as an added bonus, because there's so much to all these activities and there's only so much I can fit into these sessions, but I really want you to get the sense of how incredible and vast this work is. Another key thing is by stimulating both, like ears on either side of your head, you're activating both brain hemispheres, your left and right side. So amazing. Okay, the next activity is for balance. And so I'm just curious, how would you like to feel more physical, mental, or emotional balance in your life? Most people would say yes. Well, a wonderful way to activate balance is to simply go for a walk. At least one 20-minute walk outside, get out your door, get the fresh air, get solar power, change up your environment will have an amazing impact. Okay, that will be first into your mental health and wellness. And so definitely even get out 2 or 3 times, go to longer walks and hikes at a nearby park or forest or trail. That's amazing. And I also recognize that sometimes when you need a walk the most, you're not able to get out. Maybe the weather isn't conducive, or you don't have the time because you're just having to meet a deadline, or you're about to give a presentation, or you've got young kids at home learning, so you can't leave them. You can't just pack up and go. So what can we do instead? Well, we're going to do a walk on the spot. First of all, we're going to do it seated in the chair you're in. I'm going to assume that the majority of you are sitting in a chair. And if you're not, maybe you want to grab one. But the idea here is that you can do this seated walking activity by taking one hand, bring it across your body to your opposite leg, and then switch over. And as you're doing this, you're turning your upper body, you're turning your head across the screen. So you're changing up your visual field. And you're also activating your spine. You're getting that cerebral spinal fluid moving, which is the information line that needs to move through your sensory system to your spine, to your brain, really get the communication flow going there. And of course, activating left and right brain hemispheres by doing this activity as well. So imagine you're doing this with me. No one can sculpt your brain for you. You need to do it as well. So get the benefits and join in with me. And then we're going to do another variation in just a moment because we want to keep things interesting and I want you to have lots of options to take away with you. The next version of this, so that's the seated walk on the spot. You can also do one that's similar to a rowing motion. So you're going to put one hand and then put your other one on top of it, okay? And what you're going to do is you're going to pull back down one side of your body, then come up and switch your hands and pull back the other side. And just keep repeating that. And as you're doing that, you're going to find that you're doing a similar activity to walking on the spot. And it actually just activates your brain or your body in just a slightly different way, which means you're activating your brain in a slightly different way. And at the same time, you can use the power of visualization, imagining you're out on one of the great Ontario lakes or up at your cottage or just on a vacation somewhere. Wouldn't that be nice? And you're out in a kayak or a canoe, enjoying the great outdoors. So there you go. How cool is that? So now, now that you've got some walking on the spot and some rowing, another way to do this is to actually do it standing. And I'm going to have you stand up for a moment because when you do this activity standing, it takes it up to a whole new level. Basically, you can't be in stress and balance at the same time. This really activates your balance because it requires balance to shift from side to side, which activates your vestibular system, a higher part of your brain. So start by just walking comfortably on the spot at a speed that feels comfortable for you, and then gradually slow it down to see how slow you can go. Just keep breathing. And as you're doing this, notice how wobbly you are or how centered you feel. And just as you do more of them, it will become easier and to that point where you really feel like you're balanced and you can hold that position longer. Okay, and so that's a great way to dispel stress by simply moving your system into balance. Fantastic, everybody. So just a couple more activities. This next one is to refresh your perspective, getting out of that negative thinking loop. Wouldn't it be great if we could just refresh our perspective on demand, or if we could start our day over in our own mind, even if we're halfway through the day, and just really feel like we're designing our lives on a fresh canvas. I mean, what a great feeling. So would we feel more inspired, more creative? Would we be more solution oriented? Well, we can't do that when we're in flight, fight, or freeze. So this next activity that you see the picture here of the toes pointing and flexing, so they're lifting and then they're dorsiflexion up, plantar flexion down. What is happening here when you do this activity, so bring your legs out in front and join me to do this, you're helping to release that tendon guard reflex, which is that flight, fight, and freeze response. It's the response that tightens up your legs to get you ready to go to battle or to run away or causes you to freeze on the spot. So by doing this activity, toes up, toes down, you are loosening up the muscles in your calves in the back of your legs, and you're also helping to release that tendon guard reflex. Awesome. Now, as you're doing that, I just like to show you another variation. This one is the downward dog. And for those of you who like yoga, you're really going to appreciate this. I'm not going to do this now to demonstrate, but I'd like you to try it yourself. And if you do a lot of yoga, you do a lot of downward dogs. And you're going to find that you're going to have a new meaning as to why you're doing this activity, because bringing those heels down to the ground as best you can will help to release that tendon guard reflex. So not only are you lengthening your system, more information can move freely and you're moving out of that reactive response. Now, if you don't like doing downward dogs, or it's not your thing, you can also do a seated forward bend where you're on the floor, your legs are out in front of you, you breathe your arms up in the air and float forward. And while you're doing that, keep your toes up. Okay, even if you can't touch your toes when you come forward, you go as far as you can. Just the act of keeping your toes up will be really beneficial. So there you go. That's to refresh your perspective. Now, here's one for clarity. How would your life be like if you had more clarity, more mental clarity? Well, we'd probably be less confused. We'd make better choices and decisions. We'd procrastinate less. We'd be more creative. So let's activate these clarity points. They're located right on your forehead, and you can either hold them with each hand, or you can put one hand right across your forehead and hold it like that. And if your arm gets tired at all, you can actually even just put your hands on your elbows on your lap or on a desk in front of you, and just put your hands so that your palms are covering your eyes and your fingers are laid across your forehead. And there you go. You're just holding the points while you're also giving your eyes a screen break as well. So these points here, while you're holding them, I'll just let you know that they're connected with your stomach meridian. So you're actually calming your stomach by holding these points. At the same time, you're bringing blood and oxygen flow to that higher part of your brain, that higher order thinking place where your executive functions reside. So you're bringing blood to this important thinking area, and you're calming your belly at the same time. This leads to clarity. Okay, wonderful. The next activity, we just have a couple left. This one is to feel more calm. What would life be like if you knew you could calm yourself down on demand? Would you be healthier? Would you be happier? Would you be less stressed? Would your blood pressure be lower? Just knowing we have an activity to create calm allows us to actually feel more calm generally. Isn't it funny how it works? When we know we've got a solution that we can rely on, just that knowing, just that awareness makes us feel better. So here's an activity I like to call it like a mini brain spa, or actually an even better term for this really is a mini brain recess, because this really is like having a timeout. And we understand how important that is for kids, but what about for adults? Just to take these moments throughout the day, or especially when we need them, when we know we're feeling tense or stressed, or the pressure is mounting, or we're feeling irritable, we're feeling out of sync. This is a wonderful activity. So you can bring your fingertips together and just gently hold them. So your palms are open and the fingertips are touching lightly. Just hold that in front of you. Relax your shoulders and breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. In through your nose, out through your mouth. And there's just a light touch going on between your fingertips. And by holding these fingertips like this, what you're doing is you're bringing your left and right brain hemispheres into synchronization. You're getting them to communicate and align. So this is putting you into a more centered and connected place. And this is where this activity really does become like a mini meditation, because you can hold it for as long as you have. If it's a minute, that's great. If you have 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, you can hold it even longer. And that's when it's like going to the brain spa. Okay, so just for sake of timing right now, we're just going to hold it for 30 seconds to a minute. You can see all these activities are meant to be done in short periods of time, so they can be done frequently throughout the course of your day. So when you feel ready, you'll just allow your hands to come fully together to the palm to palm, fully touching. Then interlace your hands and then bring them to your lap and take a nice big breath. And so notice how you're feeling at this point. Just generally the shift that's occurred just by doing these different activities. If you feel like having more water, please do. Great. Now, last but not least, the last activity is to literally create more positivity. I mean, how would your life be like if you could have just generally a more positive attitude? If you could see the cup half full more often, or even overflowing, how would that affect your interactions, your relationships, with others, your relationships with family members, your relationship with yourself, and the work you do, and your productivity, and your sense of enjoying your daily life tasks. So being positive actually is more of a choice than it is something that we come by naturally. It's actually a muscle that we can actually build. And one of the best ways that we can do that is by literally turning our frown upside down. That's right, because smiling actually activates a really wonderful positive neurochemical and biochemical response, okay? Because when you're smiling, you are sending a message to your brain that says, hey, I'm safe. I can relax. Because if you are not feeling safe or you're not feeling safe or you're feeling concerned about something, you're not going to be smiling, right? So when you're smiling, even if you have to fake it till you make it, it's giving that message, I'm safe, I'm relaxed, and I can have fun, because a smile is a precursor to a laugh. And according to neuroscientists, our brains as humans are designed to be laughter making machines. How neat is that? So we're meant to be laughing. We're meant to be having fun. We're meant to be socializing. But right now it is hard to do because there's so many limitations, but that doesn't mean you can't smile for yourself. So here's a challenge for you. Anytime, anywhere, when you can think of it, maybe put out some Post-it notes to remember, to remind you, smile. Even when no one's looking. And smile at your computer screen when you're answering emails, whenever you look in a mirror, when you go to the washroom, when you're walking down the street. Just do it. Even before you go to sleep at night, put a smile on for a moment. It will become more of a habit, and that positivity will grow. To add on to that, research shows that you can rewire your brain for more happiness simply by recalling things that you feel grateful for. So I'm sure you've heard of before the attitude of gratitude, which is a very real and powerful thing. And so what I thought we could do together is practice that, okay, with three pieces of gratitude. The first one being, we'll share some of them because we'll create some group energy around this. The first one is just to give gratitude to CanFit Pro for pivoting during this really unprecedented time and really continuing to be leaders in the fitness industry and continuing to offer all these amazing programs that they're continuing to rise to the occasion and make sure is available for all their members and community. That's the first gratitude. The second gratitude is that we have this amazing thing called neuroplasticity, and we can grow and change our brain. That's available to us anywhere, anytime. That's a second gratitude that we could share in. And for the last piece of gratitude, I would like you to come up with something yourself. If you feel like sharing it in the chat box, please do. If you want to keep it to yourself, that's fine as well. It will still benefit you. From my own perspective, I want to share mine. I basically want to say that you are truly the best, really. I have a deep gratitude and appreciation for people who are fitness professionals and fitness enthusiasts. As you can see, you are here to help lead the charge and make a difference for people. And by using the bodies that we have, we can truly get the brain that we want. It's really powerful. It's very inspiring. And I know that you are sharing in that mission with me. So gratitude to you. Now, as we wrap up, I'd like us to do a post check and compare the results from the beginning before we did the neurobics together and see what's changed. Please take a moment and just be aware of your breathing again. Once again, don't try to change anything or fix anything. Just be aware of what it feels like and how you're breathing. You can close your eyes or glance downward, put the focus on you. And then be aware of your posture, doing a scan from head to toe. What's the same? What's different? Is that tension moved? Are you sitting in a different way? Are you more upright? Are you more relaxed? What's different or the same? And the last one is your energy levels, okay? 0 is empty, 5 is halfway, 10 fueled up, raring to go. Where is your dial now? Has that changed? Even a little change will take you in a whole new trajectory. So just tune into that, see where your dial's at and what has occurred. Fantastic. And congratulations, because I have no doubt at all that you have already done some amazing brain changing and brain expanding. And as an added bonus here, what I'd like to point out to you is that what you've done here is you've just really invested into your self-care, which is so important because when it comes to research and what makes people genuinely happy, while things like money and status are on the list, the most important and most powerful component is personal autonomy. That's right. Investing into your self-care and self-management is really where it's at. So right away, you can't help but be giving those happy neurochemicals a boost by participating in sessions like this. And this also puts us in a growth mindset, a place where we get to focus our energy on creating the new rather than fighting the old, because there are truly lots of opportunities. And the thing is, you have already developed wonderful skills, that you have great education, you have life experience that you've already tapped into. And a big part of the message in this session is there is so much more there available, so much more cellular power, all these neurons that are at your, literally at your fingertips, waiting for you to sculpt them. And so you get an opportunity to really create your unique, special, one-of-a-kind brain map, because your brain is one in 7.5 billion brain maps on the planet, okay? And so what does that tell us? That tells us that because there's no other brain just like yours, there is no one else who can do what you are here to do. You serve a purpose, and only you can fulfill it. So I know basically that you've got this, because you have this amazing neuroplasticity on your side. You've got all these wonderful inner resources, and you also have the tools and skills you already had before today's session. And hopefully with our time that we spent together, you've got even more to add into that wonderful toolbox. And if you would like to continue this conversation and build on this wonderful momentum that we've created today, then I warmly welcome you to attend our first time being offered through CanFit Pro, my Rewire course. I'm so excited. I want to tell you a bit about it because it's coming up soon, and I hope you choose to join in. It's happening on Saturday, May 29th from 1 to 4:30 p.m. The link is going to be put in the chat box there. Beth is going to share that with you, and it's also on this page. And basically, you're going to get 3 hours of training plus a recording. It qualifies for 2 CECs, so you'll get credit for it. We are going to cover even more brain fitness and brain gym strategies. And you are going to get a mental health and wellness inventory intake sheet. This is something you can use for yourself, your family, your friends, your clients. So there will be a real emphasis on personal and professional application. And you will also get a manual and workbook to take away with you. So there's a special webinar price for $69 versus the $89 regular price. That is available for all of you who attend today's session. And on that note, as an added bonus, I thought I'd share with you as a gift if you register a digital download of my first book called Common Sense Uncommonly Practiced. This is a heartfelt book about achieving personal wellness. It's filled with nourishing and inspiring stories that will lift and shift your mindset and will just invest into giving you the motivation and more suggestions on how you can really invest into your mental health and wellness. So I hope you choose to join us. It'd be great to see you there. And in the meantime, please stay in touch. My website's there. On the homepage, there's a free brain guide you can download. If you sign up for my newsletter, you'll get my monthly blog. And every week I send out an educational brain and life reset, so we can keep this conversation going. And of course, there's my social media handles too, which are also found on my website and links in the chat. So thank you so much, everyone, for participating. I've had so much fun sharing this with you. And at this point, I'm going to pass it over to Beth so she can manage the Q&A.
Amazing, Jill. You are a bright light. There was so much practical application and just insight, engagement in the chat box. You can see it lighting up now with everyone's takeaways and appreciation. So thank you so much from CanFit Pro for sharing this information with us. We do have questions, and folks, if you have more questions, feel free to pop them in the chat box or into the Q&A box. One question we had from Rosalba was around retaining information. So important for us to learn names and use titles of folks that we're working with, and it makes people feel really special when you use their first name. Do you have any ideas of how we can retain names and other information better?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much for your kind comments, Beth. I really, really appreciate it. And I'm happy to be in this Q&A because we can bring it to life more, this information, these applications, by doing that. And so just so we have enough time for lots of questions, I won't go really in depth to each one. So if I didn't cover it fully when I'm answering questions, or you want more from me, please contact me directly. I will say when it comes to memory, we are only as good as the memory we retain, because our memory is the basis of our life experience and who we are in the world. So our memory is so absolutely key. And when we start to lose our memory, it can be a very concerning thing. Now, we all, based on stress and based on being busy, can have memory hiccups or, blurps where we forget a person's name or it's gone in one ear and out the other. That's going to happen. But when we're noticing that our memory is starting to decline, that is connected with cognitive degeneration. And so what's happening is something called our brain reserve is starting to fade. It's starting to weaken. It's starting to dissolve. So there's all sorts of brain training to help with memory. But of course, first and foremost, staying hydrated, eating healthy. Maybe there'll be a question about nutrition and I can go into that a bit more. But doing the strategies that I shared. Another big one is getting good quality sleep, because when we're sleeping, information is moved from short-term memory to long-term memory. So we consolidate learning and memory through good quality sleep. On another note, there are little fun ways to practice building your memory and to associate someone's name with an image and a flavor, or just bring in your senses more. And I won't really go in, that's not my specialty. Maybe at some point I will learn those and share those, but I know they exist because I've read about them a lot. And people will find that when they're trying to memorize something, when they make associations, that is helpful. Okay, but also writing things down. That is another way to actually embed something better in our memory. When you write something out, it tends to solidify it more. That's not for all learners, but for certain learners, that is very helpful.
Thank you for that. You better believe I took a lot of notes. That always helps me remember information. So thanks for validating that I was on the right path there.
Sure thing.
Jill, we have a great question from Wajiha, and she or he, they are a fitness coach. They, like many of us, they have a lot of clients who deal with brain fog, and you gave us such great exercises to help deal with brain fog and to calm ourselves. If we were working with clients, either in a group fitness class or a personal training session or a coaching session, when would be the best time to bring some of those exercises in? Would it be beginning, mid-session, at the end, during the cool down? What do you suggest?
Great question. Great question. And the things like holding the positive points or rubbing the ears or, strategically breathing, getting that lots of cross lateral motion, all this is going to bring your brain into a more connected and whole brain state. Okay. So I definitely recommend right at the beginning, like when you wake up in the morning, use some of these activities. Don't just assume because your eyes are open or the alarm clock's gone off or you've taken a shower, even you can't assume that your brain is fully turned on and ready to go. So you can use these strategies to get you into a better state. And what I really love about fitness professionals is you're already working with people to get them, their body and brain activated and get them in the zone through the fitness types of courses and offerings. The thing is, a lot of people just wait until their fitness class to get activity. So the rest of the time they're sitting around. So what I love about brain fitness and brain gym, it doesn't replace me going to the gym. Doesn't replace me going out for a walk, but it gets me to insert movement regularly throughout the course of the day, at the beginning of the day, at the middle of my day, at the end of my day. And that can be translated into a session. At the beginning of your session, when you're warming people up, plus at the same time, you're giving them some really cool takeaways. Rubbing the ear, doing a group massage quickly. How cool is that? You're getting everyone doing an activity that we can enjoy, that's something different, gets them more connected and comfortable with their body. And then going forward, they're going to be more likely to do the harder work, the harder fitness, doing the cardiovascular, the muscle training, and have more endurance. Because going from sedentary to full-on movement is a big ask. So this is a great way to bridge that gap as well.
That's great. I know I will be keeping my glass of water by my bed. So when I wake up, I'll drink the water and I'll do some of the activities to get my brain fired up at the beginning. I actually would have thought it was going to be the end of a session, but I love that it's at the beginning, and maybe I'll rely less on coffee in the morning by doing some of these brain activation tools and techniques.
Well, and you know, you made a really good point back there too, because I say throughout the day, just to keep engaged throughout your session as little breaks. And you know what, that's a really good point, because a lot of these activities can be used before you go to bed. They will help you sleep better. So there really isn't a time you can't use them. I just like to say, let's get our brains turned on when we start our day or start a task. And then we also can use them very strategically to stay engaged, to stay connected, and as a nice wrap up and transition at the end too.
Amazing. Here's the last question we'll have time for. It's from Dave,
Okay.
and you may have gone over this. It's about the breathing. Maybe you could just go over, review for us the difference between exhaling through the nose versus the mouth. And you talked a little bit about acid and cooling. Can you just review that for us, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So at the end of the day, I think people have to breathe the way they may feel most comfortable, first of all. It's such a personal, intimate thing. Having said that, um, there are many different breathing activities and exercises. You can find lots, I'm sure, on YouTube and on the internet. So in this particular activity, this breathing 2.0 and how I described it, I very intentionally was saying that, you know, let's breathe in through the nose so we can just energize our system immediately, like send a direct oxygen flow to our brain. It really energizes those neurons immediately. It's like a nice wake up call, right? And then when you exhale, then you're intentionally releasing, okay? Which is, we are detoxifying when we exhale. We're releasing acidity. And you know, when it comes to an alkaline or acidic environment, acidity is fine for digestion, but to have an all over acidic environment inside our body is not healthy. That's a storehouse for disease. We want to be able to alkaline our system and, you know, really augment that pH level. So by doing this exhaling, you're literally imagining and cleansing out some of that acidity, some of that waste. I mean, it's obviously a small amount, but everything adds up and counts, especially when you're breathing all the time throughout the course of your day. So inhale through the nose, energize, exhale. The other thing is, when we are in stress, we hold our breath, right? If something scares you, what do? You gasp and hold on. So when we exhale, an exhale is a reminder to your system that you are safe and can relax. So not only are we energizing our system and creating that nice cooling effect, that AC, because the air is cooler as we breathe in, when we exhale, we're all and releasing that acidity, we are also activating that rest and digest response. And I feel like in today's society, we're not taught that we can be energized and relaxed simultaneously. You think you're energized like a hamster on a hamster wheel, that go, 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 get it done, keep it busy. Or the relax mode, which is the sitting on the couch, feet up, watching Netflix, or getting ready for bed. And it's like they're two different worlds. And so a part of my messaging in brain fitness and what we practice doing is bringing these opposites together, where they can coexist, where we can feel energized and relaxed simultaneously. And that's the best place for our health. That's the best place to be productive. That's the best place to be focused. I mean, there's just so many, I could go on and on about it, but there's so many benefits. And so it's also cultivating that state of mind where we can have both existing simultaneously.
I know I already feel like I'm going to be more productive this afternoon. Thank you so much, Jill,
Great.
for all of your education, insight, tools, practical tips. We so appreciate it. And do you have any final thoughts to call this webinar complete?
Oh, wonderful. I've so enjoyed myself. As you can see, I am truly passionate about this work. And I'm always learning and growing with it too. That's why anyone who wants to join me and be in the conversation, that's how it will be most effective. So I just really invite people to reach out to me on social media, through my newsletter, and of course, this upcoming class that we have called Rewire on May 29th. Would love for you to join me. And in the meantime, just know how awesome you are. You are serving an amazing purpose being in the fitness and health industry. Honestly, I'm so grateful. It makes a difference. I know you're going through a challenging time. There is silver lining and new learning happening. We are, you know, in this together in various ways, and we also need to really invest into our self-care. So please put to use what you learned, give back to you. It's so important. And thank you again for participating.
Thank you so much, Jill. Thank you everyone for being here. Stay safe and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you.